have a big earthquake in the middle of the 18th century, in 1755. So after that, we have to rebuild all this area that we know of nowadays by down Baixo Pombalina. And here you can see perfectly well the foundations of the building, here and over there. Okay, so now we have to go inside.
Yes.
And we are going to see the archaeological museum.
Thank you, thank you. I'm taking a video.
You're taking a video?
Yeah.
I'll take pictures.
Take pictures, salamat.
Okay, so this way is not between the buildings. Okay, this is the courtyard. This is the other building. The stairs over there. Okay. You can come inside. I have to close the doors. So before we start the tour, this tour will take more or less 1 hour. And first, we are going to see a short presentation about our archaeological site in this video. Some of the archaeological artifacts that were discovered here, and then we can go downstairs and see the archaeological structures in the basement. So this site was discovered in the early 90s of the 20th century. It was excavated between 1991 and 1995 during the renovation works of the building. So all these buildings belongs to the bank, Millennium BCP Bank. When they bought the buildings, they decided to renovate the buildings, and during the renovation, the archaeologists, they discovered many different layers, 10 different layers in this area that represents the evolution of the city along 25 centuries. So the first layer that we have here is from the Iron Age, 2,500 years ago, and the last one is from the 20th century, okay? We are going to see these archaeological layers on the video wall, and then we can go downstairs to see the archaeological site. So, to understand this archaeological site, it's very important to see how the environment was developing in this area. So we always start this presentation with this image that shows us the landscape of this area 2,500 years ago, before the first human occupation. Okay, so we are here. This is our archaeological site, okay? And as you can see, all this area at the time during the Iron Age was underwater, okay? So here we have the hill of the castle, okay? Here the hill of Saint Roch. This is Saint George, okay? This is the castle there. Here, this is the hill of Saint Roch, where we have the Carmo Museum and the Chiado, okay? It's located here. And here we have the hill of Santana. So this valley was underwater, and this situation changed, and between the 5th and the 4th centuries BC, the waters recede, and this area here became a river bed. And the people that already lived here, they start to occupy all the hill and also the river bed, and they start to build their houses here in this area. That's what we are going to see downstairs. We are going to see several houses that were built between the 5th and the 4th centuries BC during the Iron Age. Next to these houses, the archaeologists, they discovered a lot of archaeological artifacts, mainly pottery that was used to store food products. For example, the number 6, the number 5, it's pottery that was used to cook. Here in the middle of the showcase, you have also some fragments of clay that was used to build the walls of the houses. And in the middle of these the middle of the showcase, we have also a small fragment of a bowl, and this fragment is also the symbol of our archaeological site. It's very important because it shows us the presence of other people that came here during the Iron Age. So, the people that live here during the Iron Age, they were not only the people that, the native people that lived here since the Paleolithic times and Neolithic times, but they were also Phoenician people that came here during the Iron Age. And here in the middle of this bowl, we have a small boat. And this boat is a Phoenician boat, a boat like this one. It's a epoi, okay? So, what we have over there, it's a boat like this one, and it's a Phoenician boat, okay? Below this fragment, we have also two terracotta statues, and there are also epoi boats. They are small fragments, but there are also epoi boats. After this moment, this area was abandoned, and the river starts to cover all this area again. And this area remains unoccupied until the end of the 1st century BC. So the Romans arrived here during the 2nd century BC, and between the middle of the 1st century BC and the middle of the 1st century AD, this area was a Roman cemetery. Here we have found graves of young adults, children, stillborns, and also cremation areas. And here we have an example of a cremation. This is an urn that was discovered here. You can see this urn here on the showcase. It's number 16 and 17, the urn with the plate. And inside of the urn we still have some fragments of bones and ashes, and also an unguentario. The unguentario is this small object. It's a small vessel. It's not there. It's on the other showcase. It's below you. It's the number 18, and this was a votive object. Also, it was an offer. Okay. So after that, and during the Roman times, the city of Lisbon starts to change, starts to get bigger, and this area next to the river became the industrial area of the Roman city. Here you can see a small map, a schematic map from the city during the Roman times. The blue line represents the city wall, so the urban center of the city was located here, where is the castle nowadays, and where we have also the theater, the Roman theater next to our cathedral, and the white lines are the Roman roads. Here you can see our Roman road that was built along the riverbank, and all this area next to the river was occupied by factories of salted fish products, where they made preserves and sauces like garum, for example. So these sauces, they were stored inside of containers. And here you can see an example of an amphora that was used to store this kind of product. Okay, downstairs we are going to see more of these objects. So with the end of the Roman Empire, when the Roman Empire collapsed on the final of the 5th century, this area was abandoned. The factories stopped to work, all this area was abandoned. During these times, during the early Middle Age, we suffered several invasions from people that came from the north of Europe. Okay? And this area here, next to the river, became a cemetery again. We believe that because we have found a grave that was built between two fish tanks. So they reused the Roman structures and built a grave for a man. So after this moment, and on the beginning of the 8th century, the city was occupied by the Islamic army, and it starts the Islamic occupation. It starts the medieval Islamic period, and during the Islamic times, the city starts to get bigger, and we have to build a new city wall. So we have here a new city wall. We are outside of the city wall again, on the suburban area of the Islamic city. And in this area we have found many traces from this period. We have found traces of houses, streets, and also workplaces. One of the workplaces that was discovered here was a small pottery workshop where they made their potteries, and here you can see an example of a kiln that was discovered in this archaeological site. Here on the showcase we have also some examples of pottery from the Islamic period, like this Islamic porch with white painting, and the glazed ones like this Islamic bowl with the lotus flower in the middle. On the beginning, so on the middle of the 12th century, the city was reconquered by the Christians, and this area here remains outside of the city wall until the end of the 14th century. So remains a suburban area until the end of the 14th century, and only became the urban center of the city during the 15th and the 16th centuries. Here you can see an image from Lisbon from the final of the 16th century. You can already see here the two main squares of our city. This is the big square that we have next to the river, Terreiro do Paço, and over there we have here the cathedral, up there the castle. So our archaeological site is located here behind the big square, and here the archaeologists, they have found a typical building from the 16th century, a building like this one. You can see here on the showcase some parts of this building. This chapter belongs to the columns of the facade of the building, and behind you we have a tile panel, and that panel also belongs to this building from the 16th century.
Whoa. Okay,
so after that, and on the 1st November of 1755, we have a strong earthquake, and this earthquake was a level 10 on Mercalli scale, and it was an 8.7, 8.9 on the Richter scale. As you can see here, this area was one of the most affected areas by the earthquake, and not only by the earthquake, also by the fire and the tsunami. All of that happened on the same day, and all the buildings that exist in this area came down with the fire and with the earthquake. And here we have found the ruins of the buildings. So these layers represent the ruins of buildings with a lot of ashes because of the fires, and with a lot of archaeological artifacts. One of the artifacts that was discovered here in the middle of the destruction, it was this glass bottle of wine that survived the fire and the earthquake, and it's very well preserved, as you can see. After that, we have to rebuild the city, and during the 18th and the 19th century, we have to rebuild all this area again, and this is the new plan of the city. And as you can see, it's a completely different plan, it's a completely different city, with an orthogonal plan, with organized streets, with buildings with specific characteristics, architectonic characteristics that show us the concern with the safety of the people that would live here after the earthquake. One of the characteristics of these buildings is this structure that is inside of the walls. It's a wooden structure that we call gaiola pombalina. Gaiola means cage in English, and if you look closer to this image, you can see it looks like a cage. It's a wooden cage. They put it inside of the walls on the upper floors, and it's made of wood, so it's more flexible and resistant to earthquakes. Also, another characteristic is these kind of ceilings, these vault ceilings that only appears here on this ground floor. And we are going to see also the foundations of the buildings. All these buildings were built above wooden piles, and we are going to see that downstairs because we have a small part very well preserved. So I don't know if you have questions now. You can, if you have some questions, you just ask, please. And I can give you a few minutes to see our archaeological artifacts, and then we can go downstairs. Okay? Sim, sim. Vinte e 24 pessoas ao mesmo tempo. Temos que dividir em dois grupos. 12.
Mas como é que também não há
Exatamente, o outro grupo tem que esperar uma hora, mas não pode esperar assim. Tem que fazer outra coisa. Em separado, sim.
Depois também.
Exatamente. Exato, é sempre assim que funciona. Com escolas também.
Porque eles também vêm a museu, por exemplo, tem que criar.
Veio da Coreia do Sul, que museu?
O Museu de
Arqueologia. Mas de alguma cidade? Seul?
Seul, sim.
Ah, Seul, não. É porque eu estive na Coreia do Sul, mas foi no... Sim, no Museu Arqueológico mais perto do norte de Jeongnam. Um museu de pré-história. E podia ser que fosse daí. Porque eu conheço o diretor do museu, por isso é que eu estava a perguntar. Exato, nós só fazemos coisas em inglês. Só. Em inglês e português. Mas em línguas portuguesas só em inglês, não fazemos outras línguas. Mas também falar português, mas também ouvir. Mas eles não falam português. Não, temos que fazer em inglês.
Nice career, huh?
Mas é coreana, não é? Ah, é
Archaeological
Eu já tive 3 vezes na Coreia. E 3 vezes o sítio. Não, eu Joana. Sim. Não tem problema, mas contactar com qualquer colega minha. Nós estou cá sempre, nós somos 4 guias, somos 4 arqueólogas e nós vamos trocando, não é? Fazemos um rotativo. Portanto, pode ser outra colega minha, mas eu fico muito contente por virem ter uma visita.
São 17 de novembro e 24 de novembro.
Por ok. São 2 anos. Sim. Ok. Então é só marcar por e-mail. Tem é que ser sempre 2 visitas. Okay, so can we go downstairs now? Yes, we are all here. Yes, the one is on this side. No? Yes, we are all in this.
Yes.
Okay, so
All
we are
present.
going to see that, but it's in the end. So now we can go downstairs. Please be careful with the stairs and watch your head because the ceiling is a little bit lower downstairs. So pay attention to that. I was counting it. Okay, so now we are here next to the houses that were built during the Iron Age, between the 5th and the 4th centuries BC. Over there we can see proposals of the constitution for this area. And now we are going to see a short presentation that shows us the other archaeological levels that were discovered above this one. So this is the first layer. We are going to see the other layers. But we start a little bit before. So we start when all this area was underwater. So at first they start to build their houses. These houses from the Iron Age, they are very simple. They are houses with only one room, as you can see. Nowadays we can only see the foundations of the houses made with local raw materials, mainly limestone, quartz and quartzite. But the walls of the houses were made with small bricks of clay, as you can see here. And for the roofs they used small trunks of trees. And each house had a fireplace.
Nice.
The ground structure is a small fireplace, and this fireplace was used to enlighten the house, to heat, and to cook, of course, to make food. During the Iron Age, this house here became a workplace and became a small pottery workshop where they made their pottery. So they decided to build here a small hill, like that one here you can see the combustion chamber, and over there we have the reconstruction of this structure. So after this moment, these houses, they were abandoned, they start to collapse, and the river starts to cover all this area again. And this area remains underwater again on the following centuries. And only became occupied on the final of the 1st century AD during the Roman times. So at first, during the Roman times, this area was a cemetery. Here you can see the areas of cremations. Okay, so the areas with the flame, and next to these areas we have the graves of young adults, childs, stillborn adults over there. Now the child here and our urn, the urn that we have seen upstairs on the showcase with the monumentarium, so it was located there. After this moment, and on the 1st century AD, on the middle of the 1st century AD, all this area was occupied by factories of salted fish products, and this area was built a support building of the Roman factory. So we are seeing now this support building, and over there we have a well, and that well belongs to this support building. Okay? And later, on the 3rd century, this area became a residential area. So they decided to build a house next to the Roman factory. We are going to see some remains of this house upstairs on the other exhibition room. And finally, on the 11th century, during the Islamic times, this area became a pottery workshop again. So here you can see another combustion chamber of another kiln, and over there the reconstruction of this structure. Okay, so do you have questions about this archaeological sequencing? No?
No.
Okay. So we can continue our tour. Please follow me this way. Okay, so now here to the right you can see inside of the wall another well. So this one is a Pombalin well. It's from the 18th century. Okay. Over there you have a Roman well. This well is from the moment when this area was rebuilt after the earthquake. As I told you upstairs, after the earthquake there was a big concern not only with earthquakes but also with fires. So they decided to put wells next to the facade of the buildings, okay? So, yes, wells for water. To fight the fires. So it was easier to have water next to the residential areas like this. So we have one well here and another well on the other building, and we are going to see that next. So now I just ask you to pass behind me. So you have to behind me. Wait over there, please. Okay, it's fine like this.
Oops,
sorry. Okay, so here you can see the archaeological sequencing also. The original one. Preserved here. Oh, down there we have another fireplace that belongs to another house from the Iron Age. You can see the walls of the houses here and here. Okay. And after that we have the moment when this area was underwater. So all this sand represents the moment when this area was underwater again. On the top we have the remains of the Roman cemetery. You can see the difference between the sand. This is a little bit grayer than the other one, and we have some archaeological artifacts, some bones and some pottery over there.
Oh, yes.
On the top of all of this we have the Roman factory. So these two structures, they are fish tanks, and they belong to the Roman factory that was in operation during 5 centuries, between the 1st and the 5th century AD. Okay. So these are the structures that belong to the factory. We are going to see on the other exhibition room how the factory works and how they make this kind of preservers. Now we have here. Now we are going to see how they rebuilt the city after the earthquake, and the main characteristics of the Pombalin architecture. Pombalin is the name of a man. It was the minister of the king So it was Marquis Pombal. So that's why we call it Pombal. Marquês de Pombal in Portuguese. you have a big statue in the top of the avenue. You can see it. It's that kind. Okay. Everyone can see the video wall. Please come a little bit closer. We have to squeeze a little bit, just to everyone. Good. Okay. 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 So as I told you upstairs, on the morning of the 1st November of 1755, we had a big earthquake here in Lisbon. The epicenter of the earthquake was here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, between the two tectonic plates, the Eurasiatic and the North African. And Lisbon was one of the most affected cities by the earthquake. Not only the earthquake, also the tsunami and the fire. All the buildings that exist here, they came down with the earthquake, and the few ones that survived, they decided to put it down after the earthquake to rebuild the city. So when they start to rebuild the city, one of the main characteristics of these buildings are the foundations. They decided to put all these wooden piles on the foundations to stabilize the area. Okay, so they start the construction like this, putting these wooden piles, a wooden grid, and after that they start to build the foundations. These foundations, they are very deep, 3.5 meters deep. On the first floor, we have the vault ceilings that we have seen upstairs. Okay, and on the upper floors, on the middle of the walls, we have this structure, the pomboline structure, the wooden cage. On the top of the buildings, on the roof, we have a firewall to protect from the fires, and in the middle of the buildings, in the middle of the buildings, we have a courtyard. And you have seen the courtyard of these buildings. That corridor that we cross before we enter here to the museum is the courtyard that was used to separate the buildings. And also, it was very important, like the firewall, because it was used to prevent the evolution of the fires. Okay.
So most of the buildings in this area are built like this.
Yes.
The corridor.
Yes, they are. We are going to see an image from the top upstairs, and you can see that all these buildings, they have these courtyards. In this case, the courtyard is closed because during the renovation works in the 90s, the bank decided to close the courtyard. But normally, the courtyard is open; it's an open area. Okay, so this is a typical pomboline building, and if you look down there, you can see two wooden piles and the wooden grid. It's a small part from our building, and they are still working, these two wooden piles, okay? And here we have also another two wooden piles. These two, they are not working anymore, but you can see these two, they are still working. Okay, so now we have to go to the other exhibition room. Here.
Put your hand.
Yes, I learned. Yes, of course. No. Yeah, we heard that a lot. Because we heard a lot of television shows in American English show. Yes, this is good. Okay, so now we are inside of the Roman factory. Okay. All of these structures, they are fish tanks. Okay, so all of these are fish tanks. Next to the fish tanks, they have these small yards where they prepare the sauces and the preserves, and all these artifacts, they are the original ones. They were discovered here inside of the tanks, and next to the tanks, they were used to prepare the sauces and the preserves in this factory. To see how the factory works, we have to cross to the other part of the corridor, because this area is very low. A short video that shows how they prepare this kind of sauces. Okay, so the fish that was used here in the factory, it was a sardine. We have a lot of sardines, of course, here next to our coast. They brought the fish to the factories, put it inside of the tanks, and covered the fish with salt, and left the fish with the salt inside of the tanks for several months. After this period, the liquid part, it was transported to another tank, a smaller tank, and it was seasoned with different kind of herbs, and they create different kind of sauces like garum, liquid, and muria, for example, and then they store it inside of a specific type of amphora. With the fish, they made different preserves like salsamenta and alec. So all these sauces and preserves, they were made here and they were consumed locally and regionally, of course, but they were also exported for other regions of the Roman Empire. They arrived to other regions, and we are going to see that next on the other exhibition room. Here in this tank, you can also see the fish inside of the tank, okay, with the salt. And on the other side of our exhibition room, we have not only the factory, so all these structures belong to the factory, but here on the wall you can see some remains of our building. Between these two panels we have a tunnel, and that tunnel is the waste pipe of the building, the original one from the 18th century, and next to the facade of this building we have another well. Remember that I told you that all the buildings have wells? So here we have another well, and you can see the bottom of the well and the wooden structure that was put there to build the well. So if you go there, you can see it. You can see it because it's very well preserved.
Careful. Oh, this one is the best preserved I've seen. You can see the wood spikes there. The wood spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't drop your camera.
There's even water.
Yeah.
You are from where? Roma.
He misses, so he also looks for ancient Romans all over the world.
Oh, you like?
He likes.
It's not enough what you're having.
No, it's not enough. I don't understand this fish. They put the fish inside with some water. And
No, without water.
Okay.
So the level of the water at the time was lower than nowadays.
Okay.
So these tanks were empty. They put the fish in the tanks and with the salt. Yeah. Everyone have seen the bottom of the well? So now we have to go this way. Please follow me. Be careful here. Watch your head.
Hey, they put the padding in the glass.
So now we are inside of one 26 fish tanks that were discovered in this area. Over there you can see the fish tanks that were divided in 7 small areas, and next to our, this is a proposal of reconstitution for our factory, and over there, next to the factory, we have a Roman house that was built on the 3rd century. We are going to see the remains of this house upstairs, and we have also the Roman road that we have seen in the entrance of the museum. Here we have the containers that were used to store these fish products. This is a specific typology of amphora, and it's only this typology. It's only used to store fish products. We have different kinds of typologies of amphoras. Some of them they were used to store olive oil, and other ones for wine. But these ones are for fish products, and they were made on the other side of the Tagus River, okay? And then they were used here in the factories of Olisipo, and after that exported for other regions of the Roman Empire. As you can see in this map, with these products, they arrived to the north of Europe, to Britannia and Germania, but also to all the south and to Rome, the capital of the empire. How we know that? Mainly because of these artifacts. When other archaeologists they discovered this kind of amphoras that were made here in Lusitania, outside of our territory, they know that they received products from here. That's how we can make this distribution. How they were distributed? They were put like that inside of the bones. And this is important because it's also the explanation why the amphora have this morphology. The amphoras have different typologies, but all of the amphoras have the same morphology. They have a V bottom, a conic bottom, and they were like that because they have to put it vertically on the bones and in different layers. So between the walls they have to fit another amphora, and that's why they made it like that. Okay, that's the explanation. Here you can also see some remains from our building. This is a foundation from the building. This belongs to the foundation of the building, and also this part and this small corridor. It's also a small part of another waste pipe from this building from the 18th century. Now we have to turn back, and we are going to see the only remain that we have from the early Middle Age. Remember that I told you upstairs, when the Roman Empire ends here in the Occident, all this area was abandoned. So the factories stopped work; they were abandoned, and the people that came next, they reused. You want to just see.
Tu sei sicuro di questo? Non glielo diciamo. Ah, questo sono lo scheletro.
Yes.
Dobbiamo andare qui?
Okay, be careful. Okay, watch your head. Okay. You have to just yeah.
Have you been to Rome?
Yes, many years ago, 2005. So
You see the skeleton right there?
Where the Romans put all the amphoras coming from here, so a mount, because they didn't bring them back.
Yes, they were. Yes, that's why we know.
Yeah, so they were. Yeah, we know that they were thrown. Yeah, so there is a mount full of amphoras
from other regions of the Roman Empire.
Yes.
No, it's specifically
a little mount in the town.
In the town,
where
yes.
the people accumulated.
All the amphoras broke.
Yes.
That they did.
And now it's a mount, but you can see the walls made of broken amphoras. Oh,
Oh, yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah. behind below the foundation.
Oh, this one is really low.
This water is from the rivers that you use here. The rivers that are flowing at first in that field. Yeah, they still run nowadays. Below the buildings. Our other exhibition room. Yeah, there is another one here where we have the remains of the golden house that was built next to the factory of the 3rd century. And what we have here, we have the bath, the frigidarium, the cold bath, with 3 tanks, okay? And next to the frigidarium, the Roman mosaic. This was the first polychrome mosaic that was discovered here in Lisbon in the early 90s, and it was divided in 4 panels. We can only see 3 from these 4 panels, but there were 4 with geometric and vegetalistic motifs. Okay. Next to these 2 structures from the Roman times, we have another structure over there, but that one is from the 19th century. That round structure is the remain of a bakery oven. During the 19th century, there was a bakery here in this building, and they built an oven on the basement, so you can see the remains of this oven over there. To finish our tour, we have a short video that shows us the evolution of our city along these 25 centuries.
Ah, finally, Lisbon. Drone.
You can see from the top the buildings and the courtyards and the firewall of the buildings.
Yes.
And other archaeological sites that you can visit. Okay, so we have another exhibition room here, but this is a temporary exhibition, and now we have an exhibition dedicated to the Roman cuisine. Not only the space, not only the Roman kitchen, but also the cuisine, how they cook the plates. And we have a recipe here. It's an example of a Roman recipe where they use the fish sauces that were made here in this kind of factories, like the Lincoln. It's a chicken of Parthian style. It's a specific Roman recipe, but where you can see that they use a lot of herbs and also different kinds of sauces to make this kind of place. Here we have the archaeological artifacts that are related to this space, to the kitchen, and in this area we have a small replica of a Roman kitchen, and all these artifacts in this area are replicas. And behind you have an example of a menu, of a Roman menu, what they eat during a cena, for example, and for the dinner. That was the main
Meal.
The main meal, sorry, the main meal of the day. So you can see here the starters, the main dishes, the desserts, and the wine that they drink during this meal.
At the time there were no spaghetti.
No spaghetti. No.
And here you have a real example of ancient Roman, modern Roman. So this is.
Okay, I don't know if you have some questions about our archaeological site or this exhibition. No? Okay, so thank you so much for visiting us. I hope you had enjoyed the archaeological site. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed the site. And
Thank you so much.
Our
Thank you,
site.
ciao.
Thank you.
Obrigado.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.